Hey, Crossway Church, if you are looking for a book of the Bible to read, meditate on, study, memorize, check out the New Testament book of Philippians. I've recently been rereading the book of Philippians, and I think it's now one of my favorite New Testament books. There is so much truth, so much encouragement, so much that irritates me positively in this very compact letter that the Apostle Paul wrote. In Philippians chapter 4, verse 4, Paul says, "Rejoice in the Lord always." I'll say it again, rejoice. "Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near." There's three things I want to briefly highlight in that verse because I'm a preacher. The first is that we need to be people who rejoice. We need to be people who celebrate, even in a global pandemic, even in the valleys of life. It doesn't mean that we are not authentic, that we're not real, that we don't get frustrated, that we don't lament, but the tone of our life, the fuel of our life, should be one of rejoicing and celebration. The second thing that Paul highlights is gentleness. When people look at our lives, do they experience gentleness? Full transparency, I struggle with this one. I tend to be a more aggressive personality. I have to lean hard into being a person of gentleness. And gentleness is not just something that we can accomplish on our own power, but we have to be open to the empowerment of the Holy Spirit. It's only through the work of the Holy Spirit that we as a community of faith, as Christ followers, can truly be gentle. And I'm looking forward this weekend, along with our Sussex campus, Pastor Ben, to unpack the question that came in about the Holy Spirit. You're not going to want to miss that. And then the third thing that we see in this passage is that the Lord is near. There's multiple ways that we can think about this part of the verse. One is that the Lord is right here. The Lord is present. The Lord is with us. Jesus walks with us through the difficulties and through the challenges. But there's also this idea, and Paul states this in other parts of the New Testament, that Jesus Christ can reappear at any time. His return is near. His return is imminent. And this has been a core doctrine of the church for centuries. In 2 weeks, with our teaching team member Tim, we're going to unpack that idea. The end of days, the imminent return of Christ, the book of Revelation. It's going to be a very interesting conversation that you're not going to want to miss. Memorize, meditate, focus in on the New Testament book of Philippians. A couple other things I'd like to highlight this week. The first is a huge thank you, a celebration. We have been able to give, because of your obedience, your generosity, almost $50,000 additional dollars above and beyond our regular global support to a few global ministry partners that are in desperate need. Almost $50,000. Thank you, Crossway. And God gets all of the glory, all of the recognition. This week, we continue our Love Wins Drive Up Resource Initiative. Every single week on Thursday afternoons, we collect food and cleaning supplies for people in our sphere of influence that are under-resourced, that are in need. I want to encourage you to go on the Facebook page, to read the weekly email. As each week we highlight specific needs. We have cleaning supply needs this week. We have chili needs. We have ramen noodle needs. But we always need everything on the Love Wins list. So let's continue to be very generous in our giving of food and supplies to the Love Wins Drive Up Resource Initiative. The last thing I'd like us to highlight this week is an update on re-engagement, on what is it going to look like when we come together as a community of faith and we worship again in person at our Germantown and our Sussex campus. We have built a 3-phase process. We've done this prayerfully. We've continually tapped into other churches in our region and around the United States. We're listening to what's coming out of Madison. We're seeking God's will, God's directive in His Word. Not only are we discussing this in the re-engagement team, but we're discussing it in our lead team. Our elders are also part of this broader discussion. What is it going to look like in phases when we reconnect in person? There's 2 things I would ask of you. The first is that you would continue to pray. Pray that we would have wisdom. Pray that we would have wise people speaking into the process. And I'm so thankful for the community of faith and many wise people that God has given us. But also remember that this 3-phase re-engagement plan is written in pencil. Everything is so fluid right now. And so in the coming weeks, we are going to post that on the website. We're going to email that out to you. But it's in pencil because we don't know the future. We don't know how things are going to shift and turn. God does, but we don't. So remember, it's in pencil. Continue to pray and continue to engage in the community of faith called Crossway in all the different ways that God has provided in this season. I pray that you would have a joyful day, that we'd focus in on the truth in the book of Philippians, that we'd recognize that the Lord is near, that we would be known as people of gentleness. Take care.